Hello everyone, welcome back to our sequel session. So, like in our last session, we have started for the joins where we got to know that what are joins, where it is needed, and what are the different types of join that are there in SQL. And also, I told you that going forward, we will be talking more about joins. So, this session is all about the implementation of join and how it works. So, if you remember that in our last session, I have shown a Venn diagram in order to explain you. But to make it more clear practically, I will be showing you two examples, or like I will be showing you, like if there are four joins, then I will be showing two in this session and in the next session, so that we get an opportunity to revise it, to work on it, and to learn. And definitely, if in case we have any question or queries, we can discuss it, right? So if you are able to if you are able to see on the screen, you can see that here I have written already some code, right? I have already written some of the queries. So which is like I have done nothing but actually, in order to explain it better, what I have done is, and to save the time, I have already created a separate database and I have used that database. Okay. After that, what I have done is I have created two tables. So this is my table one and this is my table two. Sorry, I have not changed the names here. So these things which are like this, these are the comment sections. So even if we will be running it, there will be no change. Okay. So suppose sometimes for our learning purpose, we want to put some details near our query or the code that we are writing. So in those sections, these comments are very helpful for us. So for example, in order to save my time, what I did was I already created two tables. But just to give you an overview or for for a revision purpose, what I have done is I have not removed this. I still have it, and for my reminder I have added some comments, like till this part it's my table 1, then this is my table 2, and later also below also have added some comments. So now let's talk about table 1. So in table 1, you can see I have named it as employee, and here I have requested to create a table employee where I will be using two fields, or I will be having two fields. One is ID and another one is name. And also I specified that my primary key is going to be ID. Okay. Now, similarly, you can see that I have inserted few data into it, like insert into employee, on the format of fields and the values. Okay. Similarly, I have one more table named as employee information. And here also you can see that I have created the table and then inserted few values. Now, before we go, so here on top you can see that I have IDs in continuation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And below you can see it's 1, 3, 4, 7. Okay, so don't worry, I have not forgotten the count. It's just that to make you clearly visible of how this join is working, I have used the data or entered the data in such a way. Okay, so here also you can see that I have set a primary key. So the role of primary key is same as whenever we have to enter in a room, right? Or we have to enter in a house, what we need? We need a lock and we need a key to make it more safe and also to connect. If we don't have the correct key to come inside, we cannot come, right? Similarly, here the primary key is the key. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to join the tables in different way. And in our today's session, we will be focusing on the first two joins, that is the inner join and then my left outer join. So what and how we can implement the inner join. So I have already added the comment section, so we have everything in a place, in a order. Okay. So if I want to apply for inner join, what I will have to write? I will say select, and now I will be telling which fields I am looking for. So suppose I am having name column, which is from my table 1, that is employee. Then I'm looking for designation, Okay, and then gender. Okay, from where I want to get this? From employee. Okay, but the point is, in my employee table, I'm having only two columns, that is ID and name, and I also want to have the designation and gender. So now I have to tell that in order to get those data also, you need to apply or you need to join, you need to connect. So I will say that do a inner join from what table, where I need to inner join. So I will write my second table name, employee underscore info. Okay, so now I told like from which table my table first table should be joining, but also I need to tell them now that what is the key to get or to use the data from second table, right? So I will say on employee dot id. So I'm telling that I am having a correct key with me, and using this key only I am trying to consume the data or to use the data that is there in both tables. Okay, and now out after a semicolon. So what I said is please select the name, designation, gender from table 1, that is employee, and in order to get the complete data, I have said that inner join, apply a inner join with employee info table, and where the key will be employee ID and employee info dot id. So why I'm using this dot id? Because I am telling the path, like from where you need to get the id. If I will be just writing the id, it will get confused that I am having two tables. Which table id I should be taking, employee or employee 2? So I need to be specific here. Okay, so in order to explain it better, I will give you one more scenario after running this query. So first of all, let's go ahead and run this. So I'll be selecting this and then run. So now you can see that it ran successfully and we are having three records. Okay, we are having three records. Whereas if I show you the data I am having for table 1 and table 2. So let me reduce this a little bit. Hmm. Okay, so here in table 1 you can see I am having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and here you can see I have 1, 3, 4, 7. So what happened actually is since I have applied a inner join, then it only took the data which is common in both the cases. So for example, 1 was there, so 1 is here, it took the value first, Amit. If I show you, then here is Amit. Similarly, then there was 3 as ID, so it's Aman. So Aman data is there. Similarly, 4. So fourth is Amitabh. So, mhm. So fourth is Amitabh, but it is showing me Sachin. Why? Mm-hmm. The reason is because I updated this table later on. So earlier it was 5 only. Replace it again to 5. So now this is matching. Actually, the problem that happened here is that I was just checking into it, and the moment I inserted the data, I forgot to run the queries, all the queries. Like if I am having four records over here, so I ran only one or two records, which resulted like this. So better if we are inserting the data, we should be putting our queries. Like first we should check that the syntax is correct by executing that query. Once we are sure that yeah, the query is correct, so what we can do is we can copy paste the same, and then according to our requirement we can modify those and we can run it. So if in case then you will be running the whole, then also there will be, it's not like it will be getting added twice. Okay, so this will give you an error. So in this way, you will be able to add all the data and not missing or mixing it up like I did. Okay. So coming back to the point, so now what I'm going to do is, okay, yeah. So here I made you visible that all the IDs that we have used or we were having common in one and two table, we were able to see the data only for those table records. Okay, so similarly, if I go down, now I want to show you actually that what is the ID, because here you can see that there was some confusion between. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to say that with name, please also show me the ID of those member, and then I will be running it. Oh, we come across an error. So what is the error? Let me just increase it first. Mhm. So there is an error coming. And what is the error? 1052. Column ID is field list and the field list is ambiguous, which means that the moment we say that select ID, now it is confused that oh, I don't have one ID, I am using two tables and both tables are having ID. So in this case, from which table I should be showing ID information. Okay, so here we need to specify that you need to use table 1 to show the ID. So I will say that instead of just using ID to remove this ambiguity problem, what I'm going to do is I will add employee dot. So now I told him, or I told my query that don't worry, I will tell you from which path or from which table you need to utilize or use the ID column. So if again I select this query, mhm, and run it, so now you can see there is no error, and also I started getting the ID properly. So this is our first case, that is inner join. Now what will happen if I will change this inner join to left join? So again, going back to it, so I will not disturb this query. I will do a copy paste, put it here, and then what I'm going to do is I will be replacing this inner with left, and I'm keeping this employee ID in order to make things more clear. Okay, now I will be running it, and now you can see what happened. So in our table 1, we were having employee IDs as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So below we can see that as per our table 1, we are having all the records for ID column. We are having all the records from name table. So sorry, from the name column. Okay, which was there in employee table, first table. Okay, which we are using here as a parent. Now coming to the columns that are there in second table. So you can observe that whatever ID or whichever ID was there in table 1, it is showing me the data for it. But if there is no data for any of the ID, so it's showing me null value. So there is no data, no record for it. Okay, so it is showing me all the data from my left table, but it stopped showing me the data that is extra in right table. So any place where there is no value, no information, right, in my table 2, if there is no data into it, it will be not showing me. But it will be not showing me any extra ID which is there in my second table. So let me show you the second table data first. So here in second table you can see that I am not having information till 5. I'm having 7 also, right? But here I am having the information till 5. So now, just to make this more clear, I will be running one more query, although I thought that I'll be showing two at a time. So I will use it in right outer join. Right join, and we'll be moving this down. Mhm. And now I will replace this left with right. And then I will select this and run it. And here you can see that we are getting the information that is common in both the tables, that is ID number 1, 3 and 5. Okay, so these are there in right table and also there in left table. Okay, whereas we have one more new value which is the designation and gender. So it is showing me VP and female, but here you can see that ID is coming as null. So does it mean that I have not given any ID for it? Why is it not showing? So the reason is I told this query that please show me the ID that is there in employee table. So if by not removing this employee ID, I add this once more and copy this table name and paste it here. And now if I will run it, and here you can see that it is showing me the ID for the values of right table. So I hope that these examples that I have shown for inner join, left join and right join is clear for you. This is all for today's session. In our next session, we will be focusing on the full outer join and also taking some more examples in order to understand the join concept very clearly and like easy to go. The reason why I am focusing on join is because whenever we are working with SQL in any project, whenever we are working on any project now, then join is very common over there. And what happens is sometimes we run into some syntactical error, or sometimes we are not that confident about it. So we can take time to understand these things. But the point is, before moving ahead, we should be clear what we have learned so far. That is the reason it's better to go slow instead going fast and learning nothing. So that's all for today's session. Thank you so much for watching this session. I hope you understood what I tried to explain you for all the three joints with example. If in case you have any question or queries related to it, please don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for watching.